Now on Bounce, it's Friday, and you know what that means. Our guest Bounce contributor, Olympia D, is here for her weekly segment of Raising Brilliance. She's a radio personality for Old School 105.3. Always a pleasure to have you here, Olympia D.
Always a pleasure being here, Delano.
Heard you on the radio the other day, and I got excited, and I started screaming. I was like a little groupie. I was like, oh, it's
really?
Olympia D, yeah. I was all fired up about it.
You always make my heart pound.
Yeah,
Thank you, Delano.
What are you discussing tonight?
Well, October is National Bullying Prevention Month, and for most parents out there, including myself, bullying is a concern. So tonight, I invited author Angela Amos here to share with us her book, "'Twas the Fight Before Christmas." And I got to say thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so tell us about this book because it sounds so interesting.
Well, it's a great little story. It chronicles the trip of a little girl through the last day of school before Christmas break. She's a little girl who gets bullied periodically. This particular day, the bully takes it a little too far, and things don't go the way that bully thinks it's going to go. Then we get to later in the year, after the school break is over, and what the reader finds out is a little bit about the victim, the bystander, and the bully, and how those relationships are intertwined.
Now, this book is based on an actual event, correct?
It is. It is. It's actually a situation that happened to a younger relative of mine a few years ago. And
did you know how to handle the bullying?
Well, actually, I don't think she knew right at the moment how to handle it, but the book was developed literally from how the event happened, almost verbatim, and then I built the rest of the story sort of as a composite based on interviews to try to get a realistic view of what happens. I interviewed teachers, relatives of people who have been bullied to build the rest of the story, so it would have a realistic bent.
Right, and as parents, sometimes we don't know when our child is being bullied. What are some of those telltale signs that we need to look out for?
I think one of the things that's most important is if the child begins to withdraw, if they're not spending as much time at home, and particularly if they're in their room. I'd like to just give a caution to parents because nowadays kids are in their rooms and they're on their computers, they're on their phones, they're very connected, and they might be getting messages that are not good for them. I understand that only 11% of kids will actually tell their parents they're being cyberbullied, and we know cyberbullying can, quite frankly, end in disaster. So,
is it a good idea? Because I know my parents said that we didn't close doors in our house. I mean, and I think when you close the doors, it gives kids more, I guess, things to do things wrong or whatever the case may be, and take that kind of stuff.
A little bit too much privacy.
Yes, a little too much privacy.
I agree. So monitor your children's activities in their rooms, and if they're on the computers and they're on their phones, you need to know what's happening because a lot of times this is where the bullying is happening.
Is there an age group that's more likely to be experience bullying than others?
Not really. It happens in middle school. It happens in high school, and believe it or not, it's happening in colleges.
Wow.
Kids are committing suicide on college campuses, and you would think the bigger kids would know better. They're young adults. But it's happening throughout the age range.
Wow. For all of my parents out there, Angela will be reading her book, "'Twas the Fight Before Christmas," tomorrow, October the 29th, at Imaginon, the Joe and Joan Martin Center. She will be reading from 2 p.m. until 3 p.m. for kids ages 5 to 11.
And when the kids listen to you read your book, what do you want them to take away from it, understand about it?
We usually try to have a fun, interactive discussion because the story presents a not-so-positive situation in a very palatable way. So it's very interactive, and before they hear from me, I like to hear from them because they have stories to tell, and you'd be surprised the youngest of them have stories to tell. So we talk about that, and what I like for them to get from it is, number one, you've got a bully. That bully makes a decision. I'm giving away the story, but that bully makes a decision, and it's a decision to make a change, a positive change. That's one key thing. The other key thing is that there's a bystander, an older kid that actually approaches that bully and says, you know what, maybe you should think about what you're doing. So that tells people, that bystanders, you don't have to just be helpless. Find a big person, maybe they can help you out, or maybe you can befriend that bully. Maybe that bully is just trying to reach out, and that's why they're negative. They're just trying to connect some way.
Yes.
So it may be something just beyond that's a bad person.
Gotcha.
Well, I hope you have a great reading tomorrow.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for sharing your book with us. Again, "'Twas the Fight Before Christmas." Make sure you go and join her tomorrow. And, of course, if you have any Raising Brilliance ideas or events, please email me at Olympia D Show. And also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Olympia D Show.
Yeah, great information, Angela. Good to have you here. Yes, thank you for coming. And Olympia D, we're going to see you again next Friday.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're back with more news. Right after we want to do our sound off here, I think we want to